thank you so much. I feel like we were just sitting here a couple of weeks ago talking about the crazy snowstorm.
Oh, that was a great story, though. I wanted to tell you.
Oh, thank you.
Several people reached out and said, yeah, we remember that. We were there, especially from the school district.
Oh, it's like going down memory lane, isn't
Yeah,
it? That's something
really
where everyone
true.
remembers where they were in that moment.
Someone told me, said, Mike, you know disasters follow you around wherever you go. There's always some great crisis.
You know what, though? But that's true. But you're also kind of a fixer. You seem to leave everything you touch better than you found it. How do you do that?
Build consensus. It's all about people and encouraging people, number one, to be transparent, to speak honestly, and then to have the courage to build bridges and open lines of communication. And there are many people who are engaged in systems integration. We think more about technology, but the human being is a system. So integrating skill sets, abilities can not only unveil, but also solve almost any problem that might manifest itself.
So simple as that. Just look at people and treat people as they're human.
Just treat people regardless of, not even engage in this whole idea of political affiliation or race or gender affiliation. Just get the most talented people, the most experienced people, and the people who really want to work hard and solve a problem, irrespective of position in the organization. One of the most things I enjoy most when I'm engaging in a complex, seemingly intractable issue is not just to engage the executive levels, but to reach down in the organization to get everyone in the room who has knowledge, skill sets, or expertise. And my one rule is if you're sitting at this table, no matter what your position is in the organization, you have one voice and one vote. And every vote is equal.
It seems so simple, but not everybody follows that credence. It seems to work for you, though.
Well, it's just, and not to engage in deficit-driven strategies. And what that means is that you've been in meetings, either internal or external, where the entire agenda is focused on what's wrong, what are the deficits, what are the problems, and what are the challenges. What I encourage leaders to do is inventory your deficits, yes, but spend more time in taking a census of your assets. Inventory your assets, count your deficits, but then leverage your assets against the deficits to resolve and create solutions. It's how you determine the value of a business. It's liabilities and assets. It's your life. All of us come with challenges in life, but we also have assets that have been given by God or earned. Use those assets to resolve and your liabilities as well as your challenges.
You know, we're coming to the end of an era. After 8 years leading DeKalb County, the voters put you here in 2016. Have you had any time to reflect on your time leading DeKalb County as CEO?
I'm beginning to, honestly, to look back and to first consider how fortunate I was to have been elected by the voters of this county to serve in this position. I'm fortunate to have been surrounded by more than 6,000 fellow employees. And most importantly, we had a constituency, nearly 800,000 residents, who allowed me and encouraged and supported me in trying to address the issues that it seemed almost intractable for us for so many decades.
You mentioned in your last State of the County that you originally wanted to be a preacher. How did you go from, wanting to be a preacher to CEO of one of the largest metro counties?
Well, I wanted to be, but my mother wanted me to be a preacher more than I did. So that kind of gives you some insight as to what went wrong. But I went out to college in Augusta at Payne College. I have a degree in philosophy and religion. All of my classmates that were majoring in philosophy and religion have all become ministers since graduation. But I did not get the call to be a minister. Instead, I chose the law profession. But philosophy and religion proved to be a great prerequisite for law as well as public service, because all people of goodwill, and Protestant, Catholic, Jew, Gentile, Muslim, true believers, agnostics, atheists, you have to respect people and their beliefs and their creeds. And so I focus my studies on world religions, particularly through the Old Testament.
How much has that base and foundation in religion and philosophy helped you lead the people of DeKalb County?
Tremendously. We're a very diverse county, not just racially, but we have the largest Orthodox Jewish population community in the state. We have a large Muslim population, Christian, and others, Hindu. So one great philosopher once said that the Word of God is really like a beam of light that enters and exits a prism in many different colors. So no matter what your calling or your creed or your religion is, there is a belief that is just one word, but we're able to engage it through many different colors and many different interpretations. But to be respectful of others, no matter what your beliefs are. And I think the most important thing we've learned to do in DeKalb County, and hopefully I've played some role in it, is to be more respectful of others, whether we agree or disagree with them, to be able to do it in a way that does not dehumanize or disrespect or marginalize any group, no matter where they might live in this county.
How different do you think DeKalb County is from the day you entered office to now and the day in the coming weeks where you'll leave it?
We're not perfect. So many challenges remain, but we're in a much better place. We always want to be able to say that I'm leaving it better than I found it. I know for a fact that this government is in a better place. On day one in 2017, we had a $27 million structural deficit. When I exit, we'll have at least $145 million surplus in the bank. We will have made significant progress on reducing sewer spills, more than 62% over the last 2 years, over 300 miles of resurfaced streets and roads, some of the worst in our county. And I can go on and on and on these practical things that we've been able to generate progress with. But most importantly, I believe, I know for a fact, I don't just believe it, I know that we are a county now where the lines of communication have been opened. That this county, we have a relationship with the mayors throughout the county, particularly in North DeKalb. We are now a more diverse workforce. We purposely engaged and attempted to recruit and hire more Hispanic, Latino, and Asian employees. We are a better county, because we have pursued, as Abraham Lincoln encouraged us, all of us to do, which is you pursue the better angels. We saw our better selves, and we are aspiring to be better people, better residents, and we're a better county. The greatness, we've laid the foundation for great things that will occur going forward.
You talked about some of the big challenges. I mean, the water and sewer infrastructure was definitely one of them. What would you consider your greatest challenge during your time as CEO?
All of those. Inaccurate water bills, huge issue. The millions of gallons that we were annually spilling into the waterways of DeKalb County, roads that had not been resurfaced. We just had major issues with blight, blighted homes that had not been addressed. So I can go on and on and on. But the most important thing was to bring us together. People say, what do you want your legacy to be? I just want us to be closer, to be more respectful, to have the ability to reach out, to debate, to discuss, to disagree, but never lose sight that our ultimate goal must be to progress and improve this county and the people who live, work, and play here, their lives. That's more important. And I think we now have an environment that's much more respectful. Not that we don't disagree, we'll always disagree. Not that we won't fuss, we will always fuss. But we will learn to disagree in a disagreeable way so that we can ultimately create a more progressive and more successful alternatives that we can pursue.
Do you think unity is your greatest accomplishment?
Respect for one another is my greatest accomplishment. You know, you can be unified without unanimity. See, that's one of the things. People often mistake unanimity for unity. What we've learned is that we can disagree but still be unified in the pursuit of a goal or objective. That's important for this state and our nation to learn. That we'll always have different parties, Republicans and Democrats. There'll always be different races, colors, and creeds with different agendas and different priorities. But we can remain unified in our overall efforts to disagree but be disagreeable about it, to be unified without being unanimous.
You're term limited from running for this office again, but if you could, would you run for this position again?
No. One of the things that I'm very conscious of is mission creep. Don't allow mission creep. Yourself or anyone, whether it's in public service or even in your private career, you come into a job, you come into an opportunity, you have your goals and objectives set. But once you achieve those, don't be afraid to venture forward to bigger markets and greater responsibility. I feel like there's a time for every season and a season for every time, and I've loved it, I've enjoyed it, but my season is coming to a close. And I just want to be able to look back and say, we tried, we succeeded in some, we failed in others, but DeKalb, I believe, is a better place today.
So what's next for you?
I'm going to rest. If you can avoid it, never make important decisions when you're tired. I will admit that being in a leadership position during the pandemic was the most challenging thing I faced. You mentioned I've been in many crises in many different positions. Nothing like the COVID-19 pandemic. It challenged me, not just my skill set, but every ounce of my ability to lead and to persevere. When you had hundreds of people here in DeKalb, tens of thousands all over this country, dying and losing their lives because of this invisible enemy, not knowing whether the next touch of the doorknob will trigger your last or put you in a position where you would lose your life. So that was extremely challenging. I want to reflect. I want to understand, and my last State of the County address was lessons learned. I want to take time to make sure that I take full advantage of this leadership opportunity that I've been engaged in. Rather than rushing to the next event, I want to understand what I've already learned. I want to reflect. And then when I was 18, a senior at Clark Central High School in Athens, Georgia, I wasn't a graduation speaker, but they allowed me to do the class charge through a prayer. And I referenced Ulysses, who had sailed the 7 seas and returned home a great hero. And he attended banquets and he was adored and loved. But he became bored with that. And one day he called his crew back together. And he said, look, this is not who we are. We are explorers. We have to go out. And so the favorite line was, at the end of the poem, The Odyssey, is that you should always strive to seek, to find, and never to yield. I'll be setting sail again. I don't know in which direction, I don't know where, but I promise you I'll follow that particular admonition. I didn't know when I was 18 that it was going to be my life story, to always strive, to seek, to find, and never to yield.
In your State of the County, you had this wonderful moment where, you know, it sounded like you were off the cuff. You're saying, well, I'm not running for anything, so I can name these people. And you said, well, hold on. I'm not going to ask you not to vote for me. Yeah. I might need your vote.
Yes.
What might the people be voting for you next?
Don't know. Tom Murphy, you don't know Tom Murphy, he's a legendary speaker of the Georgia House of Representatives back in the 80s when I first came to Atlanta. That was his bill. It was a banking bill. And I went to the speaker and I said, Speaker, I'm just telling you, I'll never vote for your bill. I can't do it. And he gave me some advice, and I remember it, and I'll never forget. He said, son, he called me Michael, said, don't ever say what you'll never do, because you end up doing just that. 6 weeks later, I voted for the bill. So I'll never say never in terms of elected office. I don't know what the future will hold, but even if I don't ever run again or never hold another office, I'm at peace. I'll be honest with you, I'm at peace with what I've been able to do, what we've been able to accomplish, and that's it. That's all you can ask for. I buried my sister Saturday, this past Saturday.
I'm so sorry.
Yep, she died at the age of 75. And one of the things she always taught us was to, number one, work hard, but enjoy life and be at peace with yourself. Is that the poem, Desistrata? Did I say it correctly? Desistrata was her favorite poem. Strive to be happy is the last line of that poem. And I just want to be happy with my family and my friends. And if I get another shot, I'll run, I might win, might lose, I don't know. But holding public office won't define my happiness or lack thereof.
That's a lesson it takes a lot of people a lifetime to learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because look, let me tell you, once you get elected, first day, each day you serve, that's one day less that you will have. It's a beginning and an end. Politicians come and politicians go. You have to have something that will sustain you away and above and in a more permanent way than elective office. I love politics, but it doesn't define who I am. I would love to teach for a while. You know, I have a book out that I'm very proud of, and hopefully I'll be able to go and sell some books. And the only thing, you know, about being an author as opposed to a politician that I really enjoy is that when you go when you're doing a book signing, you can have a glass of wine and talk about your book. That's so cool. You know, I couldn't, not with your interview, I couldn't have a glass of wine and do this interview.
That's a line you can't cross in politics.
That's a line I can't cross. I can't be sitting up here sipping on some a nice glass. But anyway, I digress. But I'm not running, so I can say some things now. So I want to talk about James Oglethorpe. I want to talk about my book. I think James Oglethorpe should be Georgia's North Star. He was the founder of Georgia, as you know, but he was also one of the first white men in North America to speak out against chattel slavery. I think that his legacy of inclusiveness, of respecting the humanity of all people, of caring for those less fortunate, is a vision and something that we should celebrate and study and emulate in contemporary Georgia. So that's what I'm going to do next, is promote my book.
A lot of people would like to see you at the governor's office. Any response to what the people are asking for?
No, I'm encouraged by that. I thank you for those who feel that way, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just want to finish this job strong. My mom always told us, son, me in particular, don't ever get in front of yourself. I'm like, Mama, what are you talking about? Don't ever get in front of yourself. What she was really saying is be in the present. Focus on this job. And if you do this job well enough, someone will ask or encourage or solicit you to do other jobs. So that's what's important. Dr. Martin Luther King said that even if you're a street sweeper, even if you are a street sweeper, you sweep the streets as if Beethoven wrote symphonies. You put your all into it. If I can walk away from this job with people feeling like, you did okay, Mike, somebody might offer me another opportunity. And it may or may not be the governor's office. I have no idea. One thing I've learned is you don't control the future. I used to think I could control what happened in my life when I was young, when I was positioning myself for the next election or the next campaign. At some point, you have to turn your life over to God and let God take hold and lead and inform and instruct you. I'm at that stage in my life. I really am. I'm not necessarily focused on what's next. I want to hear what he suggests that I do or directs me to do, and that, I promise you, is what I will do.
Takes a second. You kind of have to be quiet to hear that, though, don't you?
Absolutely. You have to be quiet. You have to be quiet. I grew up in Sandy Creek, which is now a nature center. It was just rural Clark County over at the University of Georgia, and I've learned to appreciate the silence. Silence is golden. And in that, you can hear, you can see, you can understand things that you can't see amidst the toils and the noise and the frustration and the shouting that occurs in normal life. I look forward to the solitude. It's why I enjoy researching history, because it's a solitary general process. And it's quiet, it's you in the books, and you can look in history and see the future.
What would your advice be for whoever takes the seat next to you? What challenges do you think they will face?
There are always challenges, but one of the things that's unique about being the CEO of DeKalb County, one of the most diverse counties in the United States of America, you must have advanced political skills in order to win the race, but once elected, 90% of the job has nothing to do with partisan politics.
What does it have to do with?
Running a government. You got to make sure that the garbage is picked up, the traffic lights are working, that people are safe, that you're responding to inquiries for permission for people to plan and develop. It has nothing to do with partisan politics, 90% of it. So if you are or seek to be or desire to be just a politician, being CEO is not the job for you. It's about picking up the litter. It's about mowing the right of ways. It's about making sure clean, fresh water comes out the tap when people turn it on. It's about making sure that the bad stuff it ends up at the sewer plant, treatment plant, at Snapfinger, and not in the waterways. It's a job, and you have to come in here intent on doing it every day. It's not a day that your skill set, direction, and expertise, and you're totally reliant on 6,000 other people. I'm not a garbage sanitation collector. I'm not on the back of a truck. I'm totally reliant on men and women who are out there right now carrying out one of the most important functions that we have in this county, which is collecting the garbage, the household waste and debris, and getting it to the landfill. Totally dependent on them. I'm not patrolling the streets right now. Totally dependent on nearly 700 men and women to keep us safe. I'm not answering a fire alarm. Totally dependent on 500 or 600 firemen and rescue personnel. So you have to engage and support them in all the work that they do. I'm not answering a single call in 311. But those men and women who are answering are so critical because they are the face. That's the voice you hear and helps define what you think about this government.
What do you think is the biggest thing DeKalb County will face in the next 4 years?
We have to continue to invest in improving the water and sewer system, our infrastructure. Priority number one, we've made tremendous strides with reducing sewer spills and rebuilding the water distribution system. Scott County Water Treatment is the only water treatment facility in DeKalb County. We have one source of fresh water, and that's Scott County. It is some 80 years old. Major portions of it have not been refurbished or rehabilitated or replaced in nearly 8 decades. You're one source of fresh water. We have to now invest in that. That is the biggest, I think, challenge in the immediate future that we will face. My friend Dennis Shorter, who's the former mayor of Dunwoody, he said something that has resonated with me, and I've repeated it at the state of the county. He said, Mike, in DeKalb, we all drink from one water fountain. And that one fountain originates at Scott County. Without that, you don't have progress, you don't have, you're in dire straits. So we have to protect Scott County.
You have been superintendent, you've been state labor commissioner, you've been in the legislature, you've now led a county. Which of those jobs was hardest?
Great question. I thought you were going to ask me which one I enjoyed the most.
Well, you can answer that too.
They were all hard, you know, in one way or another. Honestly, I enjoyed being superintendent the most. 100,000 children. And it was an experience that I had no idea, no ambition to be a part of. I just received a call one Saturday morning from a school board member and said, "Do you want to be the superintendent?" I said, "What?" DeKalb County Schools, but I loved it. And the reason I loved it, I mentioned, is the 100,000 students, all races, colors, and creeds. We speak 164 different languages in our school district.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. It's incredible that that is who we are. There are 6 or 7 elementary schools, like 100% Hispanic and Latino. It's the future. It's now in DeKalb. And so I loved it. I love working with the parents. I didn't realize, I have a daughter, and she's an adult now, and I always thought she was smart. You know, you always think your kids are smart, right? They're great. I didn't realize that this coming generations were so smart, so intelligent, so engaged, so technologically proficient. I had no idea that it was a much broader swath of that population. So that's what I enjoyed most. It was like going back to high school, because I was able to go to band practice, go to football practice, go to basketball games, concerts. It was so cool.
You've still got a job to do. You're not out of office yet.
Nope,
The election
nope.
happens, but you're still here for
still
the next
here.
several months. Anything you hope to accomplish in your last few months on the job?
Number one, we're going to ask the county commissioners to begin the process that might result in rate increases to invest on rehabilitating and refurbishing Scott County water treatment plant. That is just critical. We're going to start that process. I'm going to start that process because the future of DeKalb County rests with us protecting that plant and the ability to treat and produce clean, fresh, potable water. Number one, we're working on enhancing the healthcare delivery system in DeKalb County. We're purchasing a new E911 answering system, $5 million, state of the art. We've had challenges with response times in some part of the county. This new system is going to help to mitigate, if not eliminate, those long response times. So those are the two things that are most important to me: investing in Scott County and getting in this new E911 system so that we could have more prompt responses to emergencies around the county.